Because if I tell that story, I'm seen as being weak, or I'm seen as being a loser, or I'm not good enough. I know we're going down a different path, but I just want to throw that out there because it is a real blocker in people moving to the next stage.
I think it's such a great question. And I think this is where um, you need to be vulnerable as a kind of standard guideline, I think falls short.
Mm.
I think it's not just about being vulnerable. I think it's about showing vulnerability and coming through to a transformation.
Mm.
And so what I find, so I worked with somebody this past year. His family came from East Africa originally and came to the States and started a travel company. And he told me a story that was so hard for him. He told me a story about going to McDonald's, and he still remembers the smell of the French fries in McDonald's when he was 7 years old. And he sat down with his dad, and his dad brought him some French fries, and he said, "Here." And he gives them to him, and he says, "Oh well," he says, "Dad, where's yours?" And he says, "Well, I already ate mine."
Hmm.
But what he realized now was the look on his dad's face was a confusing look that he didn't quite understand before he became a father, before he stepped into this COVID time. And what he realized is that his father at that point couldn't afford 2 packs of French fries.
Mm.
And as he thought about that story, he kind of fell further and further into this moment of shame.
Mm-hmm.
But what he realized from this story is that it's actually the power of realizing his own privilege, realizing his sacrifice of his father,
Mm.
Yeah.
that has guided him into all of the social benefit work that he's doing now.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
guided him into all of the work around in these different countries where that company has traveled to, where the guides are suffering, where the local people are suffering. And now he's catalyzed in several different countries this entire transformative program to support those guides and the local people and the families of those guides. And it's all back to that story of the French fries.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
is that a story of being lost in vulnerability? Is that a story, well, that's okay for you to tell? Or is that a story that was just stuck back in the past, and you and your developed
Mm-hmm.
self, in your mature self, in your committed self, never went back to it because it was just sitting there, and you
Mm-hmm.
never found that same basic question: where's the change?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where's the turn? It's just sitting back. I don't want to think about that. Where's the turn? Now, these stories are not always for telling, and they're not always for telling publicly. I just
Right.
want to acknowledge that,
Mm.
Yeah.
but they're really good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.